Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ollie Rodriguez-Dom and Record Store Day is just around the corner, so I've decided to put together this video to help give you some advice and some tips for how you can best prepare for Record Store Day and get the absolute most out of it. So if you do go on to enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe as you want to see more vinyl related content. Here on the channel I talk a lot about hip hop, vinyl collecting, and also, much like this video, try and give some advice for the vinyl community where I can. So first things first, what actually is Record Store Day? Because some of you may have just stumbled across this video and gone, wait, what is that? Because that was sort of an experience I first had when it came to Record Store Day. I wasn't really sure what it was. At first, I kind of thought it was like, you know, those like national like pizza day or beer day, those kind of like random events that pop up on social media, and then you just suddenly see someone posting, oh, here's like some nachos I made because it's National Nacho Day or something. That is an actual thing. That's kind of at first what I thought Record Store Day was, just like a day where like, it was one of those random national days where you just post about having a vinyl record or something like that, but obviously it's a lot deeper than that. But a quick summary is essentially independent record stores have a day dedicated to them where they can get exclusive vinyl from a range of artists. This could be anything from an album that is having its first ever time pressed on vinyl. It could be a repressing of an album that hasn't been done for years. It could be a live recording of an album. It could be an album's anniversary or a specially made picture disc. The list goes on and on with different records that you can get, including different colors, etc. And the reason they go to independent record stores is because they're trying to encourage you to go to your independent record stores and help support them. And these records are basically only available on Record Store Day to go and get, so make sure you're there if you want to get them. So hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of context if you weren't sure on what Record Store Day was. In front of me right here, I have a list that I've written down of about 5 ideas to help you prepare for Record Store Day. So without further ado, let's get into it with the first tip, which is find your local record store. What you don't want to have happen is you wake up on the day being April 12th, you go to your closest HMV and you wonder, where are all the Record Store Day records? So the first part is figure out where is your nearest independent record store that is actually taking part in Record Store Day. And the easiest way to find this is just go onto the Record Store Day website, which you can find in the description. There are a bunch of resources there that will link to all these points, so make sure to go in the description if you want to find them. Pretty quick and easy. That goes for anything else I mentioned in the rest of this video. But on their website, you can basically type in your hometown or postcode and it will show you the nearest record stores that are participating in Record Store Day. From there you can see who's the closest one to you, how far it might be, and you can plan your travel arrangements for it. An important part on that as well, make sure to figure out when that record store is actually opening for the day, because you don't want to turn up there at 9 and then they're not opening till 11. What you don't want to have happen is turn up too late and you miss out on some of the records, or turn up too early and you're waiting too long. In some instances, like London, you probably will want to like sit there for like a good 2 hours before the store opens just so you actually have a chance. Depends on where you're based and how active the community around there is for vinyl collecting. So just always check the opening times. However, a bit more depth on this point and this tip is to basically scope out the record store that you're thinking of going to a few days before Record Store Day actually happens. And I advise you do this for a number of reasons. If there is a particular genre that you are after that might be a bit more of a niche or not as popular as others, it's good to get a sense of what genres that record store tends to stock. So to give you my best example of this, I've recently moved town recently and I'm in a different area. I went into the local record store to me and they are participating in Record Store Day. And for me, I was trying to get an idea of what they were sort of stocking, and the hip hop section to me was literally just about a crate and a half, and that was essentially it for their hip hop, telling me they may not be the best place for me to go when it comes to actually trying to find my hip hop records that I'm more interested in for Record Store Day. However, they were full of rock and pop, so if I'm looking for rock and pop records on Record Store Day, they're probably a good place to go. But I'm not interested in that, so I'm probably not going to go there for Record Store Day, not because I don't want to support them, they just don't have what I'm after. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have those records. It's just me trying to hedge my bets on where's best for me to go. And currently, I'm sort of probably going to go to the closest place to my hometown because they just seem to have a bit of a wider range of records, and particularly they had a good amount of hip hop records, and I can kind of place my bets that they're going to have those hip hop related records that I'm going to be after. So always do a little bit of a recce when it comes to which record store you're going to visit. Also gives you a bit of a sense of size, and also if you just kind of like go in a few days before, like we're about a week and a half out from Record Store Day, they're already getting their shipments in. So you could almost like go in there and have a little bit of a cheeky insight and basically just ask them, hey, like, have you guys got a lot of hip hop records in for Record Store Day? What's the stock sort of looking like? Just trying to like see. They may or may not tell you, that's up to them, just be respectful of it. And you might get some insider knowledge into what you might be able to find and whether it's the place you want to go to on Record Store Day. And to take it just a tiny bit deeper, follow them on social media, because social media is basically where you're going to get the first to know updates when it comes to the record store. A lot of the common practices will be that they will keep you updated on their stock when it comes to Record Store Day and let you know on the stories, anything like that. Don't count your bets too much on that. However, the main reason I say follow them, not only does it support them and help boost their following a little bit, but the main reason I say this is because one of the most common things you will get when it comes to independent record stores is shipments not arriving on time. For 2024's Record Store Day, if it hadn't been for a late shipment, I probably would not have The Weeknd live at SoFi. But basically, I went in for Record Store Day last year and I basically was able to pick myself up Lil Uzi Vert with Love Is Rage. And that was all I got on Record Store Day. However, a couple of days later, I was just on Instagram, saw my local record store had posted on there, and they had said, we had a couple of latecomers, and this was in there. I popped them a quick message being like, is that still available? They replied saying yes. I went in on my lunch break and was able to pick it up. And it turns out after speaking to the guy at the counter that they had basically just had some late shipments and they had orders that were meant to come in for Record Store Day, but they didn't arrive. And that's why it's important that you make sure you stay following your local record store, because you may turn up there and the records you want may not be there and you might be a bit disappointed, but then a couple of days later they might actually arrive, and they should actually tell you that if you just ask about it. And they might say, we sold out on them, that's all we had. Or they could say, we sold out on them, but we do have a couple late shipments that should be arriving soon, so if you come back in a couple of days, keep an eye on our socials, we'll post about it. So make sure you're always following your local record store, because it could lead to finding a record that you weren't able to find on the actual day of Record Store Day. God, I'm saying Record Store Day way too much. So point number 2, make sure you check the Record Store Day list and make a little bit of a wish list of what you want. They have an entire PDF that will tell you every single record that is on there. It's just good to see what's actually happening on the day. Just the best way to be prepared, just look on the Record Store Day list for what actually is coming out this year. And just circle the ones that you actually want to get your hands on, and also do a couple backups as well, just so then that way, if you turn up on the day and they're not there, then you're not too bothered. There's another one that you had your eyes on and you may have wanted to pick up, and it's there. So it's just a good practice more than anything. And it also, one of my bits of advice is, don't just go for Record Store Day just for the sake of it. If there's nothing you want, then there's not much point in just going for the sake of going, if you know what I mean. And I'll get to this a little bit more, but Record Store Day is more about the community and supporting your local. So if you do find yourself looking at a list and going, yeah, there's nothing I really want on here, it just means you can be a bit more relaxed about the day. You can still go and hang out at the record store and just interact with the people there. You can just take the day a bit more calmer. And based off the reaction to what everyone's saying, this year for 2025, the Record Store Day list seems to be a really good list. For me personally, with the hip hop sort of side of things, it's not really struck with me or been something where I've gone, I need to get this record. There's nothing like that for me. There's a couple which I've sort of gone, you know what, if I see it, I'll grab it. But I'm not gonna stress too much about it. So yeah, bit of an obvious one, but check the list to see what's actually releasing, because it will just help you with how you're gonna go about shopping. So going into point number 3, set a budget. I think the biggest help and benefit this has for you is it just means you kind of focus on what it is you actually want, rather than just buying for the sake of buying. It's great having like a collection of limited edition exclusive Record Store Day only records. However, it doesn't really mean much when you're just buying it for the sake of buying it and it doesn't have much meaning to you. And obviously just setting a budget will help you financially, but it will also just help you control which ones you actually want to go after, and it will just put more value in the albums that you actually think about getting. Okay, so my 4th point, and I feel like this is almost my most important point in this entire video. If you go to your Record Store Day and you've made the entire effort just to go all the way there for one record that you really, really want, and you get there and they don't have it, don't just leave. People who have been to Record Store Day will already know what I'm about to go into, but the biggest prime example of this is Taylor Swift. There's basically a lot of people and a lot of fans who will go just to simply get her exclusive record, and they go there, and because of how popular and in demand it is, it's very unlikely you will get it. And I've seen videos of staff members basically having to go to the queue of people who are waiting to get into the shop, basically saying, we don't have any more Taylor Swift, and then literally half of the queue just disappears and goes away. And you can kind of see the pain that's on some of the record store owners or the staff's faces of just like, oh, okay then. A lot of these stores have put a lot of time and effort just to bring their record store days to life and make it special. That could be with events, it could be with offers, it could just be with how they've done the store, or just what they've tried to get in. So even if it's just out of politeness, just go and have a look around. You might discover a new album, you might discover a new artist, or say with the Taylor Swift example, you might not be able to get the exclusive this year being the Folklore and Post Malone single, but you could still go in and just look at the Taylor Swift section and pick out some. You might just find something there that's not a record store day limited record or anything, or it still could be a limited version of a different release, like with the Midnights one they did where they had 4 different versions of it, or however many it was. And I think this is what gets lost on a lot of people. Record store day is not about the limited releases. They are there as something to entice you to go and visit your local independent. So do not spend all the time you have spent queuing up or making a plan to go to your independent store just because you're wanting to look for one record. If it's there, then that's great, but if it's not, still just take the time to just go through and at least look at the store, take a photo of it, share it on your stories, whatever it is. Just spend some time looking through the crates they've got, see what offers they might have. You might find something that you weren't expecting to find. And if there's one point you're going to take away from this video, I would say honestly it is that. So my 5th and final bit of advice for record store day is make sure you talk to others whilst you're there. Vinyl collecting is about the community around it, and when you're in record store day, it's an event and people are there to experience it. So help make their experience even better by, even if it's just asking them one question about maybe a record they picked up. It could be as simple as, oh my god, I really like that album, what do you think of it? Anything like that. Be inviting, be welcoming, and just speak to people while you're there, because you never know, you might make some new mates. And on top of that, it'll make your record store day experience just that even bit more memorable. And it's not just the people looking through records or trying to buy records, it's also the staff members there. They are some of the friendliest people that you'll come across when it comes to records. They will be the biggest nerds when it comes to record collecting, so they might be the better people to speak to as well. So anyway, I hope these record store day tips have helped you in terms of planning ahead for when it comes to record store day 2025. Do go and check the comments, because I'm sure there are some people who have already left some comments with some of their advice when it comes to record store day. Do feel free to also ask any questions. I will do my best to try and answer them. If you want to get more involved with the vinyl community, I do have my own Discord channel where you can basically talk to other collectors. We welcome not just vinyl collectors, we welcome anyone who does CDs or cassettes or not even a collector at all. And whilst hip hop is kind of the main genre we all sort of like to speak about, we do welcome everyone of all genres as well. So if that sounds interesting, that will also be in the description for you to join. But for now, I've been Ollie Rodriguez, and that was my 5 tips on how to help you prepare for record store day. I'll see you in the next video.